Moscow is one of the largest cities in the world. More than 12 million people live here. I know that many Muscovites like to play board games. They are very popular. But there is one game that not everyone knows about, despite the fact that it is considered one of the oldest and most popular in the world. This is the logic board game known as Go. Today, we will tell you where, how, and with whom you can play Go in Moscow.
Today on the program, how and where did Go, the most popular board game in the world, appear? When did the Go phenomenon take hold in Russia, and how complicated are its rules? The World Go Championship in Vladivostok, the first championship that took place outside of Southeast Asia.
Go is one of the oldest board games in the world. According to Chinese legends, it's over 4,000 years old. It's one of the four major arts of the Celestial Empire, along with calligraphy, painting, and music. Legend has it that the game was invented for Emperor Yao's son to develop his wit, attention, and concentration. Originally, only the nobility were allowed to play Go. It was believed that ordinary people had no need to develop their skills. But over the years, the restrictions were relaxed and Go began its expansion throughout the East. Over time, different countries such as Korea and Japan developed their own local rules of the game. Europeans learned about Go in the late 19th century, and the game quickly became popular in the West. As early as 1908, the first European textbook on Go was published. As you have already understood, Go is a whole lot more than just a board game. This game has its own international federation, and it has its own World Cup, which has been held every year for the past 40 years. This year, the World Go Championship was held outside of Southeast Asia for the first time. The host city this year will be the Russian city, Vladivostok. Vladivostok is the largest economic, logistical, and cultural center of the Russian Asia-Pacific region. In 2021, here, on the Ruski Island, in the buildings of the Far Eastern Federal University, the first Go World Championship in the history of Russia was held. Prior to that, in its 40-year history, international Go competitions had never left the Southeast Asian region.
This is really a very important event. It's filled with a really positive spirit, and that truly makes a very significant breakthrough in the promotion of Go, in the development of Go in our country, and I think that it's not far off. I think that it will happen when Russia starts winning serious awards, though the main thing is to be able to play Go, to progress together with it. Of course, we're on the road. We're on the way, and holding this tournament in Vladivostok is a significant step in the right direction. The popularity of Go has been increasing every year. You can see that in the number of tournaments, in the number of participants, and in the number of people who are active, ranked players in Russia. So we are moving in the right direction, but we still have a lot to do.
The previous World Championship was held in 2019 in Go's homeland, China. The 2020 competition was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic and moved to 2021. The 41st championship was attended by professional players from 77 countries. Spectators had the opportunity to follow the games remotely. The campus of the Far Eastern Federal University, which became the site of the championship, carefully prepared for this hybrid format of the event.
For a year and a half now, there has been a Go club at the university. There are students and teachers there, and attention is developing in this direction. During this time, a new development program at the Far Eastern Federal University has been established where there is a general focus on the Eastern vector, the Eastern direction. is one of the key priorities. And the game of Go will become the cornerstone of student training in cultural exchange. It's already resolving issues because students from the Asian region come here at a crossroads of Asia to a European city, and students from all over Russia come here to the city at the center of the Asian Pacific region.
Russia was represented at this year's championship by Vyacheslav Kaimin. Since the beginning of the 2000s, Russian players have become European champions 15 times in this intellectual sport, but they have never yet become world champions.
Our competitor, I think, has a good chance to be in the top 10. There are 57 competitors in total. And yesterday, he lost one game, but it was only 3 rounds. He had 2 wins, so the chances are still good. In general, I think our player is one of the strongest representatives of Russia among amateurs, so he should perform well.
The World Championship consisted not only of competitions, but also a business program, plenary sessions and conferences dedicated not only to the game of Go. In total, more than 120 politicians and businessmen took part in the events. Discussion topics included post-pandemic world at the crossroads of old and new strategies, Go stratagems, the use of hybrid intelligence in solving applied problems, the Asia-Pacific gaming market, and many others.
It teaches you how to properly understand, embed, and anticipate technology. Because if you don't invest in technology, you're likely to fall behind. And this field of multiple variables you have to see right away. And look at technology from a Go perspective. And look at the board, exactly the same board in technology. Not one technology, not 2, not 3, but many intersections of technologies. Not only that, but all the intersections happen on a cross-technological aspect. So that aspect is simply embedded in the strategy of Go.
After the plenary session, the participants of the business program sat down at the GIBSON. That's the name of the Go game field. Politicians and businessmen learned in practical terms the strategic aspects of this game. In the main competitive program of the World Championship, the player from China, Ma Tanfan, won. The Russian participant took 10th place. The game of Go is gaining popularity in Russia. In Moscow, 18 centers have opened for playing Go. In order to get to know the game better and learn how to play it, we've come to one of the capital's clubs. As you know, in the East, many arts and sports are united by a common philosophy. That's why one of the Moscow Go clubs is located in a karate school. That's where we met TIMUR SANKIN, president of the Moscow Go Federation, in order to learn firsthand the history of the game in Russia, details of the federation's work, and to understand how karate and Go are connected. Timur, how did the Go Association come to be in Moscow?
Actually, you have to start with the fact that Go is a Chinese game, which is thought to be about 4,000 years old. In China, it is called Wei Qi. In Japan, it is called Go. And in Korea, it is called Baduk. Here are the 3 pillars of our game: China, Korea, and Japan. Over the past century, the game came to Europe and America, actually thanks to Japan. That's why its Japanese name took root, not the Chinese one, Wei Qi. And Go was established here in Russia. There were 2 directions here, St. Petersburg and Moscow. As usual, the confrontation between 2 capitals. St. Petersburg was the cultural capital, and the beginning was somewhere in the 60s. And in Moscow, it was thanks to my Moscow State University professor, Postnikov, who I know was introduced to the game by his American colleague. And then, the first section was opened at Moscow State University, and little by little, the first articles appeared in Soviet magazines and newspapers about this strange game called Go. And the strongest development of the game was probably due to a series of articles in the journal Science and Life. The Federation itself was founded fairly recently, in 1998, so it is now more than 20 years old.
What does the Go Association do?
Its main idea is to unite like-minded people who play the game and attract new ones. So we help players improve their skills. We hold competitions as a unifying effect. We create clubs, and we introduce new players to the game.
We're in a very interesting place right now, which is the karate club. Is there any connection between karate and Go?
Karate is also an Oriental art, and of course, they are very close to each other. Karate develops the body and spirit, but Go develops intellect and spirit. So it is a logical combination, and so we are here.
It's like a balance.
Yes, it's a balance.
What skills can you get from Go and use in life?
Unlike, for example, chess, where the game ends quite quickly, Go has a big board, and during the game, we have to make a huge number of decisions and consider the whole board. And of course, Go develops strategic skills, decision-making skills, thinking skills. It's a kind of mental training, and it sharpens your character, some kind of moral character, because you can lose in a local way, but the game is big enough. If you tune in, then you have a chance to reverse the course of the game, the course of the battle. Plus, the game itself is like a mirror of a person, because the game shows your flaws. You make a move, you show your mindset. If you're greedy, you want more territory. If you're slow and careful, you're going to limit your playing area. And that's all demonstrated at the board. And your opponent can show those flaws of yours.
If a person wants to learn Go, how do you get started?
Thanks to the internet, it's like a separate layer. You can go online, you can never communicate with anybody, you can play on special servers with people from all over the world. Now, there are a lot of resources on YouTube. You can read the rules on the internet, video lectures, plus special servers, tasks that raise your skill level. Of course, a separate layer is our classical communication. It is a live communication, and the Federation's site helps. On the Moscow site, we have all the clubs where you can get acquainted with Go. So, how do you start? Buy a kit, get your friends and relatives interested, and go to a Go club. Or find yourself a mentor, a teacher, and practice. It's very difficult to learn without a teacher. Michael, we've talked a lot about the game, but I think it's time to try to play.
Okay, I'm ready. Super.
Okay, let's go.
According to the Moscow Go Federation, there are more than 10,000 people in Moscow who play it. More than 300 people regularly take part in tournaments. Various competitions in the Russian capital take place about once every 2 weeks. In the club, we met a rising star and a young master of Go, SAVVA MEZIN, and got to know his story of acquaintance with this game. SAVVA, hi.
Hello, how do you do?
Very nice to meet you. Could you tell me, please, when and how you started playing Go?
It was around 2009. I went to the center near my house in Lider. I was involved in other groups there. And then, one day, my mom told me that we have a Go group there. I got interested at once, and I've been playing for some time now. I like the game very much.
Are you already a champion?
I have some awards. I won the Russian Under-12, Under-16, and Under-20 championships. I placed third at the European Under-16 championship.
How difficult is it to learn to play Go?
It's a difficult question because everyone has their own understanding of the game. Some can learn very quickly. I have a couple of friends who rose to a very good level in a year. It's all up to you, how you understand the game, how quickly you master it.
What's the hardest part?
The hardest part is learning the rules. I tell a lot of people the rules of Go, and a lot of people ask me, SAVVA, how do you understand all these rules? So I think the hardest thing about Go is explaining the rules to people and making sure they understand them.
I see that we're going to play.
Yes, let me tell you the rules.
Super. Great. Wow. There are several specialist schools in Moscow for those who want to learn how to play Go. It is believed that this strategic game is one of the most complicated in the world. Experienced players assure me that the rules of Go are really quite simple and that I will quickly be able to figure everything out. So, let's give it a go. SAVVA, how do we start?
We have two people playing Go. One plays with black stones and the other with white stones. Black stones go first with Go. Blacks put their move on the board, and the move goes to the person who plays the other color, which is white. Then white moves.
Do you have to go to that place? Any place?
Well, not really. In Go, we have an unlimited field. We can choose absolutely any point. It just depends on how much it will help you in the future game. So, it's better to develop the corners, then the sides, and then get closer to the center. In Go, we place the pieces not in the center of the square, but at the intersection of the lines. And when we do, it has what we call 4 points of breadth. These are the 4 sides closest to it. They also made it so that in Go, if black moves first, white must have some sort of compensation in the form of komi. Komi means points. We will count points as intersections of lines. And to make Go more interesting, we have the element of captivity, eating stones. When we close the main 4 points of the breadth, we take it off. So, when we place a stone, we can't move it. Then the question is, how do we save this stone for black here?
Well, I should probably put one here, right?
Yeah, and like we had 1 breath, and now we have 3.
What's the goal, actually?
The goal of the game is for us to capture more line crossings, points, than our opponent. And now the end of the game. Here we will close the neutral points. These are points that will not belong to anyone. They will not give anyone any points, no privileges to give anyone there. Now I will show you how we close the neutral points. Then we remove the dead stones and place them in the opponent's territory. Accordingly, black does this as well, but in the opponent's territory. If we don't count the addition to the white komi we were talking about, then black wins.
It's easy to buy the Go board game in Moscow. It's available in many shops that sell board games. You can also order the Go game online. I also decided to buy myself this game. So today, together with my filming crew, we're going to one of Moscow's game shops. Mikhail, hello.
How do you do?
Very nice to meet you. Could you tell me, please, what do you need to play Go?
To play Go, you need a few things. First of all, you need a board, stones, which are always of 2 colors, black and white. You also need a box to store the stones.
What is the average cost of a Go set?
A game set depends on the quality and, of course, on the manufacturer. Somewhere between $130 and $2,750 per set. In Japan, the bowls alone may cost up to $13,000. Now, there is a boom in the game of Go in Russia because not only ordinary guys who like sports, but also various kinds of executives, businessmen, and managers are interested in it. They all suddenly became interested in Go because it is the only strategy tool that makes it possible to understand the strategy of life. And that's what makes it so interesting.
It's a sort of training.
Yes, it's like a training. You can't lose, but you can develop it further.
Interesting. And everything I see around me, is it made in China or here?
Most of what is presented here is made in Russia. China doesn't produce this because we have different concepts. Before this concept, it took us a few years of development to make beautiful things. To understand that it's not just sport that's interesting, it's art. In China, it's more of a sport approach, simplified.
You can play Go not only in specialist clubs, you can find the game in Asian shops and cafes. We decided to look into one such tea shop.
In the Moscow cafe chain China Visata, you can not only taste real Chinese tea, but also play Go. Of the three branches, we chose a tea house in the very center of the Russian capital on Tverskaya Street. It was here that we invited Alexander Nakagawa, a Go enthusiast, to play with us.
I'm originally from Sakhalin, and I've been playing since 2009, which is practically 12 years. Of course, the first couple of years I did it seriously, participated in tournaments, trained a lot. After that, it all kind of faded into the background. Now, it's more of a hobby, to meet with friends, to socialize a little, just an excuse.
Despite the fact that Alexander no longer participates in tournaments, he finished his career as a professional Go player at a high enough level. In the class classification of Go players, he is at second Dan. The level of Dan is usually given to players of the master level. The highest rank is 9th. Does it help your work?
I don't think it helps in any way, but again, it's a good excuse to talk to people. I mean, it just so happens that in the last couple of years, Go has gained popularity with the development of artificial intelligence. A lot of people have started to take an interest in what Go is. And again, you can meet, teach somebody, talk to each other, get to know each other. It's a good excuse to make some kind of first contact. But exactly in terms of some practical applications, of course, it doesn't help in any way.
Why has there been so much interest in the last 2 years?
Because in 2016, there was a famous match between a computer program from Google called AlphaGo against world champion Lee Sedol. And there, the computer beat the man with a score of 4-1. And that was such a revolution, because until then, it had been thought that the game was very difficult and that the computer would not win for many hundreds of years. And there was this turning point, because it's not a matter of mathematical permutations, but an element of machine learning, the choice of learning with reinforcement, which is the best choice. And a lot of people who are into artificial intelligence or modern technology suddenly became interested in it.
Prior to AlphaGo's legendary match with Lee Sedol, in 2015, the machine played a game against second Dan and 3-time European winner, champion Fan Hui. The computer outplayed the human with a score of 5-0. That is, it took all 5 games out of 5. After this competition, the level of the program's game has increased significantly. And in March 2016, a tournament was organized between the machine and Korean Go master Lee Sedol, winner of the 9th Dan and the winner of the Go team discipline at the 2010 Asian Summer Games. At the time, many Go experts ranked Lee Sedol among the world's 4 strongest players. After the loss, Lee Sedol stated that it was his defeat, not the defeat of humanity. At the end of 2019, however, Lee announced that he would no longer compete in Go competitions due to the fact that computer algorithms for playing Go, in his opinion, had become far superior to humans, and humans were no longer capable of defeating them. As for the developers of AlphaGo, Google, its representatives, said they had used only the most basic theory of Go when teaching the program. The program reached a high level of play by learning itself from the games of professionals. Thus, Its machine learning methods can be used in other applications of artificial intelligence. In particular, the development team plans to apply the experience gained in writing AlphaGo to create a medical diagnostic system.
I started playing because I was sitting in Sakhalin, which means there's bad internet there, far from the center, everything is very slow. Besides, it was 2009, when a lot of things didn't exist yet. And I, like a lot of other people, maybe I was 19 years old, I guess I wanted to play some more intensive games like Dota or Counter-Strike. But I didn't have a good internet connection, so I had to play with what I had, something I could play normally and play with other people.
So this is how you learn how to play Go, develop useful new skills, and spend an interesting time. This is Capital Ideas Life. I'm Mike Gibson. See you in the next program.